Good evening, Professor. This is my ID. It's me. Yeah, it's a bad picture. Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be talking about the 5 primary causes of death that forensic scientists often encounter. Understanding these deaths are extremely crucial because investigators not only determine how someone died, but oftentimes why, and that's very crucial with victims' families and everyone. I mean, people in your life want to know what happened. So the 5 causes we'll cover are going to be natural, accidental, suicide, homicide, and undetermined. First, I'll start by talking about natural causes. The first cause of death is natural causes. This occurs when the body succumbs to an internal disease or medical condition rather than external forces. Common examples may be stuff like heart attacks, strokes, severe infections, or chronic illnesses, typically like cancer. In forensic investigations, natural deaths are often require careful medical history review and autopsies to rule out external factors. For example, if someone dies from a heart attack, they'll show little evidence on the outside, so an autopsy will reveal stuff like heart tissue, arteries, and whatnot to determine that it was a heart attack. Natural deaths are often expected in the older populations, but sudden deaths in young people can oftentimes be misleading, requires a more detailed investigation to rule out suicide, homicide, everything like that. The next cause is going to be an accidental death. This occurs when someone dies due to an unforeseen event, oftentimes without intention to harm. Examples may be a car accident, a fall from height, drowning, or typically in our society now, drug overdoses. Forensic investigators often have to examine the scene carefully to determine that the death truly was accidental. For example, in a car crash, they have to determine that there was no external force or another factor that had caused the accident. So they'll examine the skid marks, the vehicle damage, the position of the dead body to determine that it was an accident. Accidental deaths can sometimes look like suicides or homicides, so attention to detail is extremely important to avoid misclassification. The third cause of death is going to be suicide, which occurs when a person intentionally ends their own life. Methods can range wildly to firearms, poisoning, hanging, or jumping from a large height. Investigators will look for evidence such as suicide notes, personal history of mental illness, or previous attempts. And they'll study the scene to indicate that it truly was self-infliction. These investigations are typically extremely sensitive because they provide insight into mental health issues that people may not have known about. And sometimes they will help prevent future deaths by identifying warning signs in others to make sure everyone else is okay. Understanding suicide is a critical part of forensic science because it requires careful evaluation so you can rule out accidental or homicide. The fourth cause of death is going to be homicide, which occurs when one person deliberately ends the life of another. Homicides can occur in many various ways. This includes firearms, stabbing, asphyxiation, or poisoning. Forensic investigators carefully examine the crime scene, wounds, fingerprint, DNA, everything that they can to determine that it truly was a homicide. Lastly, the last cause of death is going to be undetermined. This occurs when an investigator cannot definitively classify the death as the previously aforementioned natural, accidental, suicide, or homicide. And this can happen due to the body being severely decomposed, lack of evidence, or even unclear circumstances. Even in this day and age with modern technology, it's still possible that we cannot truly give a definitive answer as to why somebody died, which is horrible, but it's just what happens. So, in conclusion, the 5 primary causes of death, natural cause, accidental, suicide, homicide, and undetermined, provide a structured framework for understanding death in forensic science. Thank you so much.